Welcome back to the Roger Hitchcock Show in the Aramco Group studios here at UTTV. Morgan Lee is a Union Tribune reporter who reports on all matters energy, and particularly lately on San Onofre, and particularly about the surprising, this kind of came out of the blue for me, that they're laying off 730 people. What's that about?
Well, for me too, it was a surprise. The Edison, the operator, Southern California Edison of the plant and majority owner, they said that this was in the works for a few years, and if you look back through their filings, yes, they were talking about trying to make the plant more efficient, about some downsizing of the staff there, but not to this extent.
It's about a third, isn't it?
It could be that much. It could be that much. There's still some unanswered questions about employees versus contractors, because they want to get down to about 1,500 employees after cutting 730 positions. So, right, huge reduction. The exact math is hard because they haven't really said how many contractors they have, but
the other side says that compared to other nuclear power plants, this is quite a few people actually, and that even 1,500 sounds like a lot to run that plant.
Well, right. What Edison has said is they went out and looked at similar dual reactor facilities that are comparable, Diablo Canyon, some facilities in other parts of the country too, in Texas, and they use those to set a benchmark, as they call it, and that they worked off that. Now, because the numbers are so dramatic, folks who are really concentrated on whether they can get these two units back online say, listen, cutting that many people, it doesn't make sense if you're really trying to get both those units back online.
Because at the moment we don't have any electricity coming out of this plant, right?
Exactly, and they've also hired a lot of people, brought people in, added more contractors and outside experts to try and figure out this problem. So
it's cheap Japanese tubes, right?
Well, it's cheap
according to your reporting.
Cheap is a relative term.
They paid too much for the ones that broke.
Ratepayers are paying, between 600 and
This deserves more time, and we don't have
$1
it. Morgan, great reporting, and we appreciate your continuing to bring the information to us about San Onofre and all these other energy matters as well. All right, I'm Roger Hitchcock. We got to take a break, but we will be back with more. The lawyers go after big food, coming up next.
I feel scared. Sometimes my parents have to take me to the hospital. I feel like a fish with no water.
You know how to react to their asthma attacks. Here's how to prevent them. Call 1-866-NO-ATTACKS. Visit www.noattacks.org or call your doctor. Because even one attack is one too many.
Oh, those boys are much too much. Those boys are much too much. We got the spirit. We're hot. We can't be stopped. We got the spirit. We're hot. We can't be stopped. We're going to beat them and bust them.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life.
Let's get a little bit rowdy. R-O-W-D-Y.
Take time to be a dad today. Call or visit fatherhood.gov to learn more.
My name is Jen Steele, and I'm a military reporter at UT San Diego. I cover the Navy and the Coast Guard and veterans issues. Well, it's really an exciting time to be covering the Navy in San Diego because this is the home of most of the Pacific Fleet ships. The country is pivoting to the Pacific. I was covering the Marines at home here and their exercises, and then when you see them do it for real, it makes you see how tough that job is. It really opens your eyes to what the military does.
Sure. It's not easy to keep.
Welcome back to the Roger Hitchcock Show here at the Aramco Group studios at UTTV. Glad you're there. Now, you know the history of the lawyers going after big tobacco. And there have been a lot of settlements and multi-million, multi-trillion, I don't know, all these states have been involved, all the private lawyers. And you know, the same thing has happened with asbestos and other kinds of products where the trial lawyers go after products that have been harmful to the public in some way and try to get some compensation. Now, the trial lawyers appear to be turning their big guns now on food. For example, looking at the claims made in this Nutella commercial. Take a look at this.
Breakfast in this house? In the morning, I can use all the help I can get. That's why I love Nutella, a delicious hazelnut spread that's perfect on multigrain toast and even whole wheat waffles. It's a quick and easy way to give my family a breakfast they'll want to eat. And Nutella is made with simple quality ingredients like hazelnuts, skim milk, and a hint of cocoa. They love the taste, and I feel good that they're ready to tackle the day. Nutella, breakfast never tasted this good.
Well, sounds good to me, but apparently not to Greg Weston, and he had something to say. Maybe we have a tape of this as well before we introduce him live.
And Nutella, again, was very focused on having store placement right next to the peanut butter, not next to icing, which it's more similar to. And, you know, it's easy to say for me to read a label, but one of our mom plaintiffs had 7 kids. And, you know, to expect her to read the label of everything she buys in the grocery store, people don't have time for that. And that's a decision that our legislature and the FDA have made, that consumers are entitled to have completely truthful advertising and completely truthful labels when it comes to health and food.
He's a Harvard graduate. 2004, he's in a law firm here in San Diego, Gregory Weston, and he was just pictured there talking about this lawsuit. You sued Nutella.
Yes, we did. We sued for the maker of Nutella, and they settled, and they've agreed to end the TV commercial that you just aired, and they've revised it.
What was the objection you had to on behalf of the moms that you were representing, that you had to this ad?
It was that this is a breakfast food that you should be eating every day, and it was really that they're constantly comparing the product to peanut butter when it wasn't comparable to peanut butter. Peanut butter is almost entirely peanuts. Nutella.
I missed the peanut butter part. Was that in the ad?
It wasn't in the ad, but what they do is on the label they call it a hazelnut spread, comparing it a little bit to a peanut spread, and they also put it on the store in the shelf right next to the peanut butter.
But in the ad they did say, I mean, if I was watching that ad, I'd say, okay, it's got a lot of sugar in it because it's got the cocoa and it's got these nuts, and obviously they're spreading it on there and hoping that you'll feel good about it because it's on the wheat bread or whatever. But it didn't sound that outlandishly. I mean, I remember back in the 50s when they were saying that cigarettes were good for you. I mean, that's an outlandish health claim, okay? But this didn't sound that outlandish.
I agree that what Nutella was being advertised was probably one of the lesser evils here. There are a lot worse companies out there and doing a lot worse things when it comes to false advertising on food. And to give you an example, a lot of companies right now are using trans fat, which is very comparable to asbestos. They both kill about 50,000 Americans a year. And they are taking this product and putting trans fat and all sorts of products intended for children, including Teddy Grahams, other sorts of graham crackers, Uncrustables, which are a frozen PB&J sandwich that's made by the Smucker Company, and all sorts of margarines, too, that go into macaroni and cheese and other products parents make for children.
Now, trans fats, we can have a big debate whether they're good or bad for you, and I know there's a lot of people say they're bad for you, and that's fine. But they're a legal product, right?
They're increasingly becoming illegal. There's a lot of places where they're not allowed in restaurants. You're not allowed to use trans fat in restaurants in California anymore. You're not allowed to use them in public school cafeterias anymore. You're still allowed to sell them in the grocery stores, apparently, but I don't even know how long that's going to last because it really is extraordinarily bad for you. Plus, we have substitutes.
I guess what I'm arguing is that if it's a legal product and I'm selling it in the supermarket, and it's labeled on there because they require me to identify it, why should I have to pay you money or pay your plaintiffs money?
Well, you should have to pay people money when the label is not accurate. And you're right, it is a legal product. And what happens is they put health claims on top of the trans fat. They have this deadly ingredient that causes cancer and heart disease, and yet they say words like wholesome, supports kids' health and development, nutritionists recommend it, and these are all things that are just completely false. So we're really looking at the key phrases on the label, especially the front of the box where they're eye-catching. And if those aren't true, then we're suing them and we're demanding that they give consumers refunds going back years and years and years.
There was a lawsuit against Captain Crunch Crunch Berries. because there was no berries. Somebody said, well, there's no berries. Well, of course there's not berries. A crunch berry is not a berry. A crunch berry is a little crunchy, sugary thing. I just don't get that. If I'm selling gummy bears, I assume people know that there's not real bears.
I agree with you that the Captain Crunch Berries was a silly lawsuit. And you know what? That lawsuit got thrown out almost immediately. And that was the end of it.
On the advertising part of it, though, that you point out, that people make these claims in selling these products, that's all regulated by the Federal Trade Commission. And if I'm within their boundaries, I mean, isn't there some regulation that if I'm within their boundaries, how can you come along and say, well, you have a different opinion than the FTC?
They usually aren't, though. The FDA has very limited resources and can barely only start to go against the companies that violate it. And if I can just show you another example right here, this is Honey Maid. This is a product made by Kraft. And you would think that this product has a lot of honey, considering it says honey on it. And there's a bee here, and there's some honey dripping in it. Actually, this is sweetened with high fructose corn syrup, not with honey. And it's not even a real Graham. It says Graham on here, but Graham is a very particular type of flour that has been made in America for about 120 years and invented by a Dr. Graham. And that's not the type of flour they use there. They used a really bad refined flour in it. So everything in this label basically is false. And in addition to that, in addition to not having honey, in addition not being made with Graham flour, they put trans fat in it. And there's no reason for doing this other than to make the company more money. They could spend another 10 cents, 15 cents a box and use a natural fat rather than artificial trans fat, and they've just chosen not to. They want to make that extra 15 cents in profit. And at a certain point, it takes a lawsuit to do it. The FDA simply does not have the resources, and in California, fortunately, we're empowered as private citizens to challenge companies that are violating the law in this manner with a class action lawsuit.
And rightfully so. I don't want to have something Honey Maid doesn't have honey in it. But then the profits go to you, because you represent a class. You go up against Nabisco. Nabisco's going to settle for whatever they settle for, and you're going to get a big chunk of that money.
I hope I do. I think if I get $5 million for people who have been defrauded, that I get the normal contingency just like any other contingency fee lawyer would, and I have to win the case first.
Absolutely. Now, what the problem is that average consumer is caught between, okay, big business trying to make a profit, lawyers trying to make a profit. You've got these plaintiffs, you've got everybody fighting. The consumer product price is going to go up to pay for it all, isn't it?
No, I don't think so.
Sure it is. Where's the money going to come from?
Well, you know what? If we can drive products like this, a Honey Maid that isn't made with honey and doesn't have Graham, even though it's called a graham cracker, out of business, I think that would be great. I think they should be more expensive.
Nabisco's just going to tack 2 cents on every other product they make that you haven't sued. They make 150 products.
I think what they will do, if hopefully if we're successful enough and we keep winning jury trials, is what they're going to have to do is make their products legally. I just don't agree that they're going to have to raise their price. They have to compete with companies that are honest in their labeling, and you can't raise your price higher than your competitors.
You and other lawyers like you across the country. There's lots of lawyers involved in these things. I was talking about one guy in Mississippi. Are going to go after all these companies. I mean, you're saying Nabisco has made, false claims here. What company has not made claims about their product?
Well, I think there's a lot of companies that are truthful in their advertising.
How did you find out that they had fructose here if it wasn't listed?
It's listed in very tiny print, but
I can read it, and with my bad eyes, I can read it. So it doesn't. It says honey, by the way.
Well, you're right. There is a tiny bit of honey in that, and that's one of the things they do. Is you see at the very end of the ingredient list, there's a tiny bit of the honey. It says
grain flour too.
But if you look,
grain wheat flour.
If you look above it, you'll see first bleached enriched flour. Okay. That's a name for basically super refined flour that turns into sugar as soon as it hits your stomach, and then once it hits your stomach, goes straight to your bloodstream, causes you a blood sugar spike, causes diabetes over time.
You said it was a graham cracker without graham flour. It does have graham flour.
Well, it's not pure graham flour. They use cheap flour mostly, and then they put a little on there. Well, it's a graham cracker, but I expect a graham cracker to be made primarily with graham flour, if not entirely. This is primarily refined flour with a little bit of graham in it.
We will continue to follow the issue. I appreciate you coming in, Greg Weston. Thanks very much for letting us know.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
I'm Roger Hedgecock. We'll be back talking a little bit about Marco Rubio after this. Hi, folks, it's Roger Hedgecock, and you know I've been working with the Aramco Group for several years now and would like to invite you to give them a call. Whether you're upside down on your mortgage and would like to refinance, looking to purchase a home, or if you're 62 years or older and would like to eliminate your mortgage payments and access the equity in your home, the Aramco Group can help you. Call my